She was accused of dancing with the devil, of casting spells in the night, of summoning unseen forces that plagued her neighbors. In 1692, in the small Puritan town of Salem, Massachusetts, fear and hysteria ignited one of the darkest chapters in American history. It began with a single accusation and ended with America's first so-called witch. But who was she really? Guilty or the victim of a deadly lie? This is the story of Salem's first witch and the legend that has haunted America for centuries. The year was 1692. Salem was no bustling city. It was a small Puritan settlement, deeply religious and isolated. Life was harsh. Winters were long, food was scarce, and fear of the unknown lingered in every shadow. The Puritans believed the devil was not just a distant figure, but a constant, lurking presence. Any misfortune, a bad harvest, a sick child, a sudden storm, could be blamed on dark forces. In this atmosphere of suspicion, a group of young girls began to act strangely. They screamed, convulsed, and claimed to see visions of spirits. The townsfolk were terrified, and when the girls accused a woman named Tituba, a Caribbean slave in the household of Reverend Samuel Parris, Salem's nightmare truly began. Tituba was unlike anyone else in Salem. She was an enslaved woman far from her homeland, her culture misunderstood. When the girls accused her of witchcraft, the town seized upon her difference. Under intense pressure, Tituba confessed. But her confession was complicated. She told the court that the devil had visited Salem. She described black dogs, red cats, and strange spirits. She even claimed others in the village were practicing witchcraft too. Her words, whether coerced or strategic, lit a wildfire of fear. Suddenly, witches were everywhere. Anyone could be accused, neighbors, friends, even family members. Though Tituba was the first to confess, she was not executed. But her story planted the seed. Salem believed witches were real, and they were living among them. What followed was chaos. Special courts were created to investigate the accused. Girls pointed fingers, adults whispered suspicions, and the community turned against itself. Ordinary disputes, a quarrel over land, a grudge between neighbors, suddenly became evidence of witchcraft. Accusations spread like wildfire. Sarah Good, a poor beggar woman, Sarah Osborne, who rarely attended church, Martha Corey, respected in the community, and even Rebecca Nurse, a grandmother beloved by many. None were safe. Spectral evidence, dreams, visions, or the word of the accuser was accepted as proof. In today's world, it would never stand in court, but in 1692, it was enough to condemn someone to death. The trials reached their tragic climax with public executions. On July 19, 1692, the first group of women, including Sarah Good, was hanged on Gallows Hill. Sarah's last words echoed with defiance. She declared she was innocent and that God would judge her accusers. More hangings followed. In total, 19 people were executed, and one man, Giles Corey, was pressed to death with heavy stones for refusing to plead guilty or innocent. Their cries fell on deaf ears. The town believed it was purging evil. In truth, it was consuming itself. But hysteria cannot last forever. As accusations spread, more and more respected citizens were named. Even the wife of the governor of Massachusetts came under suspicion. At last, the leaders of the colony began to question the madness. By 1693, the trials were halted. The remaining prisoners were released. Slowly, Salem began to realize the horror of what had been done. Innocent people, neighbors, family, friends, had been executed because of fear, rumor, and lies. Tituba, the first accused, was eventually sold to another owner and vanished from history. Her ultimate fate remains unknown, but her story and the terror it unleashed would echo through centuries. The Salem Witch Trials became a warning of what happens when fear replaces reason, when prejudice replaces justice. It was America's first witch hunt, but sadly, not the last. Over time, the story of Salem became legend, a ghostly reminder of how easily hysteria can destroy lives. The legend of Salem's first witch is not just about superstition and death. It is about the human heart and its capacity for both fear and resilience. Today, visitors still walk the old streets of Salem, where museums and memorials stand as a reminder of the innocent lives lost. The trials remind us that truth matters, justice matters, and that every accusation carries the weight of a human soul. And so the story of Salem's first witch endures, not only as a dark chapter of America's past, but as a warning for the future. If you really like this story and want us to bring more American Legends hidden stories, please subscribe to the channel and like, follow, comment, how did you like this story? Until next video, stay tuned.